Hello students, today we are going to learn about kingdom Animalia. Now, in the chapter is divided into four parts. First, about the criteria, which we learn about how to differentiate or learn different animals. As you know, there are millions of species, so we cannot learn all the animals altogether. So that is why we learn them based on their criteria or the animal classification. Then second part we learn the initial phylum, third part the later phylum, and lastly about the class of vertebrates. Okay, so today we'll learn about the different criteria of kingdom Animalia, and in that also we have got different points to learn which with which it helps to define us about the different species in kingdom Animalia. So that's why in the first page I shown different species of animals where you can see the slide moving around the different species seen in it. Okay, yeah. Now you can see the first slide, that is at least you can see five images, correct? Now in these five images, first is the puffer fish, where you can see spines are there. Now usually we know the fishes, birds, animal, so that is why if you should see the images which I put up are all slightly different, unique, amazing species, which you will learn more in this particular chapter as we go to later part of the chapter. So I had taken puffer fish over here. Now fish, it comes under Pisces, but why puffer fish? Now usually it looks slightly unusual with the spine like part on their body, but it starts to swell up in case of if it is in danger or in case of self defense. Whereas lower part you can see frog, yellow colored one, which is again unusual than the normal frog species, which is camouflage also depending on the surrounding. Third, you can see the lizard, which is unusual again. Why? Because usually lizards are smaller in comparison, right? Here you can see a large lizard, or one of the largest, called as a monitor lizard, which is also kept as a pet in African countries and some other countries. If I give one more example of lizards, there's another lizard called as iguana, or iguana lizard, which is found in the Iguana Island. There also we can see some of the species of lizard which are quite huge. Then you can see one of the bird species coming under class A's, and other is the cheetah coming under mammals. Again I kept this species. Why? To just a differentiate also. If you see ostrich, it is a bird but it does not fly. Why? It is a flightless bird. One of the reasons is the body is huge and the wings are very short, so it can't fly with a huge body or a heavy body. Similarly, there are few more species of flightless bird, right? Like kiwi or emu, penguin, right? All these are birds of flightless birds, we can say, or be more precise. Then we can see cheetah running, right? So there are different species in mammals which all of you are learned in the school: lion, tiger, deer, elephant, all these things, right? Now why kept cheetah? Also for a comparison between that bird and a mammal. What comparison? Now ostrich also running, cheetah is also running, right? But if I ask you a small question, who will win the race between ostrich and the cheetah? Now most of you will say cheetah will run, see it runs faster, right? But if I again make it more precise, the question, that is, if it is a short distance race, then who will win? It's a long distance, then who will win? Then we can say that in case of short distance race, the cheetah will win. Whereas long distance, the ostrich. So the cheetah can run faster if it is a 100-meter race, 200-meter race, or a 400-meter race to catch its prey. But whereas ostrich, it may start slow, but because of its long legs, it can keep on running miles. So if it is a long distance race, cross country, definitely ostrich will win. Whereas cheetah, after a shorter distance, it will stop. Okay, so these are the some of the examples with relation to the chapter itself, which you are going to learn later on. Okay, yeah, we move further to the next slide. Now, here we can see the criteria used for animal classification. First is grades of organization. Now in that you can see cellular, cell tissue, tissue organ. Now when you say cellular, the species may have only cells. The cells may aggregate, but they don't form any tissue or a organ system. It remains as a cell part. So the functions of the body takes place with the cell itself. Okay, whereas cell and tissue, the cells which may aggregate to form certain tissues. So those tissues may carry out various function. Third, tissue organ. So here it's slightly higher level of organization where tissue they form the organ. So the organs helps to carry out various functions of the body. Okay, so that is the first level. Then second, body symmetry. Now body symmetry, when you say, you can see there are three types: asymmetry, radial symmetry and bilateral symmetry. Now when you talk about symmetry, here it is like mathematical terms, right? Now why you are using the term symmetry with relation to the species? Now as I told you, have seen hundreds of species, right? So here when you say asymmetry, the body is not symmetrical, it is uneven. Whereas radial symmetry, it is divided into equal half from the center of the radii, or we can say the axis. If I just take a small example like starfish. Okay, then third, bilateral symmetry. The term bilateral means equal half, or term bi means two. So the body is divided into two equal half, hence the name bilateral symmetry. Here the best example being the human being or a frog or any other mammals. Okay, now third category or criteria is body cavity. When you say body cavity, here again there are three types: acoelomate, pseudocoelomate and coelomate. Now when you say acoelomate, the body cavity is absent, whereas pseudocoelomate, it means the term pseudo means false. The body cavity is present, but it's not the true body cavity. Whereas coelomate is a true body cavity which we can see in all the higher forms, maybe starting from the Annelida and all the higher forms. The fourth type, germ layer. Now when you say germ layer, there are two types: diploblastic and triploblastic. When you say diplo means di, two layer; triplo, tri, three layers, right? Now how these two and three layers are differentiated? Now diploblastic, the two layers are endoderm, ectoderm. Okay, so if the only two layers are present, it is diploblastic. Whereas triploblastic, it is endoderm, ectoderm and the mesoderm, the middle layer. Third, segmentation. Segmentation, just two types are there: unsegmented and segmented. Now when you say unsegmented and segmented, the segmentation, if it is present, they're segmented. If in case of absence, unsegmented. If I give a best example, again in Annelida or Arthropoda, the body is segmented. Now there is metameric segmentation seen. Okay, now you can see two images. That is multicellular organism, where you can see multicellular organism made up of more than one cell. The cells work together to make tissues, organs and organ system. Just now as I told you, the cells, they combine together to form tissue, the tissues forms the organ and organ the organ system. Again, if you go in much deeper level, I put that image as well. That is atoms, which further forms molecules and compounds, which further forms organelles, that is the cell, tissue, organ and organ system, and finally the organism. So these are the levels of organization. Then similarly I given another image in the same figure, that is organism, organ system, organ, tissue and which is formed from the single cell, right? Then the second image which you can see, there is levels of organization. Here you can see two parts. One, if you take a small example, building or a house, to construct, what is the basic thing required? Brick. So you can consider brick as the cell. Okay, now when you join the bricks with the help of cement, we can say as a cytoplasm, right? So the bricks to join to form the wall. When you join it, it forms a room. The room, again, if you add 2-3 rooms, it becomes a small flat. and then if you complete it, it becomes a complete bungalow type or a complete room. Similarly, if you take a building, the from a single brick to a wall to a room to a floor, and then when you keep on adding the floor, it becomes the building. Similarly here, cell, all the similar type of cell having same structure function, it forms a tissue. Similar type of tissue which has a similar structure and function forms the organ forms the organ system, and finally the organism, or that is if you take the example of a human or any other mammals. Clear? Okay, so we move to the next criteria, or we can take the criteria individually one by one. That is, first one, animal body plan. So when you say animal body plan, there are three types. First is cell aggregate plan. Okay, now you can see here the image also. So we'll see the points first. In this body plan, cells do not form tissue or organs. So as I just told in the beginning, cells, they aggregate or come together, but they don't form a tissue. And in that case, there will be no organ being formed. Right. Similarly, second point, there is minimal differentiation and division of labor among cells. So the cells are not differentiated, like the cells may be forming lungs, liver, or any other part of the body, like in case of higher animals. So here the cells, the differentiation is less, or division of labor. So single cell or a group of cells takes care of all the functions of the organism. Then these are seen in case of phylum Porifera. Now when you say Porifera, best example being cycon, or common name sponges. So again you can see the image, that is cell aggregate plan, where animal body just aggregate or collect or collection of cells without any coordination. Example Porifera, which is the phylum, or as well, if you see the image is of sponges or cycon, where you can see there is an opening present, or cells you can see in the sides. So it is a collection of cells, but there is no coordination as such. Whereas second image you can see aggregate body plan, which is again in case of Porifera, example given as sponges in the bracket. There are almost 9,000 species which are present in marine. All the Porifera are marine species, so almost there are 9,000 species, and 100 species in fresh water. Now if I just add little bit over here, now we have seen many animals and birds on the land. Okay, if I give an example that 10,000 species, but if you see under the water, there may be 1 lakh, 10 lakh, or 10 times or 100 times more than the species on the land. That's why you can see Porifera itself has almost 9,000 species. Okay, then next, the second type is blind sac body plan. Now in this body plan, body is like a sac with single opening. So there is one opening which you can see in the figure as well, so food can enter through it. Okay, then second point, digestion is carried out in this sac-like structure, where ingestion and egestion takes place through the same opening. When you use the term ingestion, egestion, always remember, understand the meaning of the term. If you understand the meaning, the concept becomes very easier. So when you say ingestion, means taking in of the food, whereas egestion, removing out unwanted undigested food from the body. So here as you see, only mouth is present, so through the mouth food enters inside and leaves outside. So there is only one opening. That is why the name given as blind sac body plan. Okay, so here the examples are members of phylum Cnidaria, or we can see the image onto the right side, that is Hydra. Okay, best example of Cnidaria, or we can say Coelenterata. So here you can see blind sac gut, the mouth is present and tentacles surrounding the mouth, and you can see the gastrodermis or internal part. Inside you can see a dead prey or a dead phytoplankton or zooplankton being present inside the species. That is, can see the slightly moving down as gastrovascular cavity and the epidermal part. Clear? Now we move to the next slide, where we can see the third type. So from the first type, cell aggregate, second blind sac pattern, now come to third part, that is tube within tube body plan, which is very common in the higher species, right? You can see here nematoda, earthworm, that is annelida, salamander, and human, we can which is tube within tube pattern. Or one simple example where you can see the fish over here, mouth and the anus, which is at the almost at the opposite end. So we take the point one by one. Digestive system is present in tube-like body plan, that is mouth at one end and the anus at the opposite end. That is why it is called as tube-like body plan or tube within tube pattern. Second, mouth and anus are present at two separate ends of the digestive system, which as you can see in case of annelida, or in case of a nematoda, or in case of salamander, in case of human, or any other mammals or any other species in the higher forms. Okay, so here we taken one of the example, annelida onwards, all the phylum show this type of body plan. When you say annelida onwards, what does that mean? Like phylum Annelida, the next phylum being phylum Arthropoda, thereafter Mollusca, then Echinodermata, Hemichordata. Then comes the chordate, Pisces, Amphibia, Reptilia, Mammalia, Aves. So right from Annelida till the Mammalia, all of them has got tube within tube body plan. Clear? Okay. So now we move to the next slide. Now, next criteria which we saw is the germ layer. From the body pattern we come to the germ layer, which is diploblastic and triploblastic. So as I told, the term diplo means two, whereas triplo means three. Okay. Now here the diploblastic, when I say two, what does that two parts of diplo means? Endoderm and ectoderm. Whereas triploblastic, tri, endoderm, ectoderm and mesoderm. So you can see the image onto the left where you can see three layers, right? Or you can see three colors. That is the endoderm, which is as the name says, endo means inside. Okay, so inside part which is slightly green in color, then the middle layer which is slightly pinkish in color, the mesoderm, and the outer part blue, which is that is the third part, that is ectoderm. The term ecto means outer part. Same if you see diploblast, we can see the green colored layer, that is endoderm, and outermost, that is ectoderm, blue colored one. But other than that, there's one more thin layer you can see, which is a non-living layer, okay, which separates the endoderm and the ectoderm. Similarly, on the right side, as just given one more image so as to understand the concept much better, or the example which will help you to understand the term germ layer. If you see here, embryonic and fetal stem cells, their cells in the blastocyst will initially specialize into one of the three layers. Now again, what is this blastocyst? Now if I give just explain simple words, when the male gamete and the female gamete fuse, that is they undergo fertilization, they form the zygote. The zygote further forms the embryo. And during the formation of embryo, the blastocyst, the morula stage, all the zygote starts to differentiate further, and we can see different embryonic cells being formed, which we learn in detail in the chapter reproduction in animals, right? So here we don't want to go into that detailed part, but here basically the embryonic and fetal stem cells. Then you can see endoderm, endo inner, forms many internal organs. So what does this endoderm do? It helps in the formation of inner layer, stomach, intestine, liver. This forms because of the inner layer. So you can see the image onto the right side, the endoderm, internal layer. Okay, whereas second mesoderm, meso means middle, forms the muscles. Example, heart, skeleton, connective tissue, deep layers of the skin. Again, you can see the image of mesoderm, that is a middle layer, cardiac muscle, skeletal muscle, tubule cell of the kidney, red blood cells, and smooth muscles. Whereas the third, ectoderm, ecto means outer, forms the central nervous system and body surface layers. Once part of these layers, cells will have start to specialize. That is, again you can see here, endoderm layer, skin cells of the epidermis, neuron of the brain, pigment cell. So the main idea behind is these layers, that is endoderm, ectoderm, mesoderm, they help in the formation of different parts of our body cells or body parts. Clear all of you? Okay, move to the next slide. Now comes the symmetry. Okay, where as I just told, symmetry, it's a mathematical term. Here we come across three types: asymmetry, radial symmetry, bilateral symmetry. Now first see the right side of the image, the sponges species or cycon, where you can see a victory sign V, which indicates which is uneven, and there is no symmetry, or you can say uneven symmetry. If I give one more best example, amoeba, you can see it does not have a proper shape. Then you can see a second example, radial, where it is equal shape, it is an umbrella-like structure. There is a jellyfish, okay, where from the center it is equally divided, so it is radially symmetrical. Third, we can take example of an insect, moth, butterfly, any other insects, where it is bilateral symmetry, that is the plane of symmetry exactly divides the body into two equal half, left and right. Okay, now you come to the left side of the image, animal body plan and symmetry. So these points will help you to understand better. The arrangement of an animal body part is called as its symmetry. So the way it is arranged, it helps to understand the symmetry of the species. Second point, animals that do not have an orderly body plan like sponges are called asymmetry. So where the body plan is not systematic, not symmetric, not even, they are asymmetric. Second type, radial symmetry, means the body parts are arranged in a circle or around the center. So you can see the example of starfish, correct? So it gives a much better idea what is that radial symmetry means. Third type, bilateral symmetry, the body consists of two half. Here we can take any example, as I told, mammal or you know, lizards, that is reptiles, aves, amphibian, all the examples includes in the bilateral symmetry. Clear all of you? Okay, now we move to the next slide. Now, so those are the criteria of distinguishing different species. As I told, there are millions of species. As I told, 10,000, 1 lakh, maybe on the surface of the earth or on the ground, but 10 times, 100 times more it's under the water. But we differentiate according to the criteria. Now this image, what you can see, I just given a small idea how they differentiate. For example, the kingdom of life, where you can see archaebacteria, which is the first known bacteria or the primitive bacteria, then eubacteria, the true bacteria with cells or nucleus, etc., then the protista, then fungi, plantae. So all this comes under the kingdom plantae. Now in case of kingdom animalia, which you are learning now and we'll learn in detail in the next lecture, next slide, that is about porifera, cnidaria, platyhelminthes, nematoda, annelida, mollusca, arthropoda, echinoidea or echinodermata. So the second level all comes under invertebrates or non-chordates. And the third level, chordate, where you can see Chondrichthyes ostrictus, that is cartilaginous fish, bony fish, amphibia, that is a frog, reptilia, snakes, lizards, aves, the birds, mammals, all the mammals including the human. Okay, so this gives you a rough idea. Now, next, another slide I put up to differentiate the vertebrate and invertebrate. Simple word, what is vertebrate means? Presence of the backbone. So in case of fish, in case of mammals, in case of reptiles, in case of birds, amphibians, there is a backbone present. Okay, that is why they are considered as the vertebrate. Whereas invertebrate, again you can see animals without the backbone, the protozoa, annelida, mollusca, echinodermata, insects, crustacean, arachnids, all this comes under that is arachnids or crustacean, insects, they come under arthropoda. Okay, so all these does not have a backbone. Now some might ask a question, sir, in case of snail, there is a shell. Now beta, it is a shell, it is not a backbone. It helps to protect the species. You know, these shells are formed from the body of the snails itself as they grow. Okay, so they come under the phylum Mollusca. Now in Mollusca, most of the animals has got the shell, or we can, as we learn further, the shells might be external, like you can see in case of snail, or sometimes it may be internal, like in case of sepia, or it may be absent in case of slug or in case of octopus. Clear? Okay. So that is what we have learned today. So here I just put few questions based on the topic whatever I learned today. Clear all of you? Thank you very much.